Hello, I'm Fred Stratton Pollock, or Stratton Carlisle Pollock, whichever name that you want to go by. Both of them are legal. I just haven't got around to the Social Security Administration, but legally they're both there. So, remember I said that all this is based on truth, and it's punishable because of the organizations that I'm either one of these organizations, Masonic group, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and or Orthodox Jews. And let me show you the chemical reaction here. Cited and I was earlier saying, an observational-based analysis of ozone trends production for urban areas in North Carolina, authored by Vinny Dr. A. Adams, or S.P. Aria. Now, I apologize. I don't know the ins and outs of all this well enough to give you anything better than what I'm presenting to you right now, as far as my technology expertise. I put that up on the board there for you. And so if you can actually notice, it's R1CH2 is the first chemical. R1 being any hydrocarbon. This plus NO, nitrogen oxide, 3 NOs plus oxygen, O2, produces 3 N2, being 3 nitrogen dioxides, plus R1CO, R2. So it's the same as R1 there, but it's attached to another hydrocarbon, R2, plus R1COH, plus water, H2O. That's the first reaction there I showed you. The second reaction on the next line, on the bottom line, was NO2 plus light, HV, plus O2 produces NO plus O3, O3 being ozone, remember. So I cited you the paper, and that's why it's important that we've been using that reaction there so often, because they've been stopping that reaction. So the O3, the NO plus O3, is not formed in our atmosphere. And they do that by diminishing the amount of nitrogen oxide that goes into that reaction. So that's important for you to realize. That's cited in that paper, published, and I'll tell you where. Let's see, it's published if you like, whether you like it or not. But I'll just be referenced. It's done in Paragon Pergamon Press, and it's called under Chemosphere Global Change Science. And remember, that's titled An Observational-Based Analysis of Ozone Trends Production for Urban Areas in North Carolina. cited by authors published by Arthur Vinyanija, Andre Adams, and S.P. Arya. Dr. Arya taught me many courses there at North Carolina State University while I was pursuing my meteorology degree. Now, let's go back to what's going on. Remember, I'm going to go ahead and say it again because it's important for you all to realize that by focusing on global greenhouse gases, reducing carbon dioxide in the atmosphere as a greenhouse gas is no more powerful than using a feather to sweep up a room. When you compare that with getting rid of the devices there, like catalytic converters on our vehicles and engines, and allowing O3, actually it's allowing NO to get in the atmosphere. And so I showed you with that reaction that it actually allows O3 to start to form back in the atmosphere. And remember, I showed you that ozone, being O2, with that extra oxygen, is it's much like having a dance partner, O2, and having a third person just kind of banging in and out of there, where actually O3 is kind of just swinging around there in the atmosphere, and it's collecting sunlight, filtering out the sunlight intensity. Now, I kind of noticed that it was a statement there put in one of the times last time I put this forward in X, otherwise known as Twitter, and they cited that it was global warming is caused by men. Well, of course, it's caused by men. It's caused by men because we've diminished the amount of ozone in the atmosphere to filter out the sunlight, and yet they kind of claim it's the CO2 in the atmosphere. And remember, I mentioned that really by getting rid of we need to focus, instead of on CO2, focus on aromatics and PAHs that are actually in our atmosphere, harming our bodies, especially when we're stressed out. Currently, and it kind of cited also that maybe we should, it didn't kind of say that directly, but they're intimating that here we should be using the solar energy. When you actually use solar energy, those devices actually enable you to receive from the sunlight, receive electrical energy to power your houses and stuff. But they have a lifetime span of several years, maybe maybe 5 or so, and then then you have to get rid of the product there, hopefully not contaminating the world by doing so. So see there, you could use nuclear, of course, and we've got developing nuclear reactors that are very safe, especially these small ones, and of course we need to still keep in mind that it has nuclear byproducts that are have to be used and taken care of. You can't just store them next to your house. You don't want to do that. And so that nuclear energy has got some, fallbacks too there. But it's certainly a very viable opportunity, where actually the propane, oils, and coal, we've got plenty of that. That's cheaper forms of energy, and so we can actually reduce our cost of fuel, our energy, our utility bills by using those, especially coal. which we certainly have an abundance of, and we are actually even having so much of it that we're actually shipping it away from the U.S. because we've got such restrictions here. And of course, a lot of our power plants still are able to use coal, yet we're forcing regulation to get rid of those power plants to turn over to using something like propane. That's very costly, and as I said, it's no difference in the aromatics produced. They're all 10%, about 10%. So fairly ridiculous to be focusing on reducing hydrocarbons in the atmosphere when we could actually use this, allow ozone to get in the atmosphere to block the sunlight, and then we can put gardens around our houses, exposing the soil to the air, so and having a dirt as far as instead of the pavement and asphalt and concrete in front of our houses, so that when the ozone comes down near our houses and near us, it's turned into oxygen or other less harmful products. And so this is not really harmful, other than, if you just don't allow that to happen. And of course, like I said in an earlier segment, that going out there and planting a garden and weeding the garden releases stress in your bodies. And so as a stress reliever, it's very helpful. Plus you're enjoying much better much better nutrients and much better tasting, even though they don't look like the store-bought products sometimes. But I think you're definitely going to find it helpful. Now, along the organic part of this thing, remember when I said the benzene ring is used to specify these reactions, and why the benzene ring is important in studying this reaction, the mechanisms of the reaction, is this reaction when you actually add on the ortho and the pair position. Whoops. I apologize, sir. The ortho position is much closer to the top than I cited earlier. So that's a clarification. I apologize for putting out there. The pair is definitely on the opposite side of the reaction. But let me show this to you up front closely. I remember I earlier said that it was down here, but that's not the ortho position. It's up here. Here's the pair. So remember that's a clarification. I apologize. When we want to go for, it's an honest mistake, but still it's important for you to know if you're really looking at all this up in books. And you're going to go to your science professors and stuff to verify what I'm saying is actually truth. Now, the reason that it's important for you to realize that it's done on the our benzene ring is similar reaction when done on a straight chain hydrocarbon or even an alkane or an alkene. Alkene being that there's a double bond in there. But say if we put a oxygen on there in the end. Let me put this away from the benzene ring so it's easier to understand. So when it's done, when the alkenes are in the atmosphere and the same reaction happens, you're getting a very possible addition in the same way of the benzene ring. But as I said, it's a very violent reaction. Violent being that it's so violent that it tears apart the chemical that it's reacting to. So let me show you up close. Oxygen, nitrogen, ortho, like here, or the pair up here. So that's why I cite that, so you can also understand that when it does happen to hydrocarbons, all hydrocarbons out there, and so when it attaches on an alkane or alkene, then it actually turns into fertilizer, because when it's gone through the atmosphere, and remember, I'll kind of show you here with a little diagram. So a little illustration, so you'll be helped by it. All that is showing you with the water droplet that the hydrocarbons form as kind of a film on the outside of the water droplet. Because if you get water and you try to mix it with oil, you notice that they don't really mix. The oil kind of goes to the top, right? Same with the water droplet. And remember I said earlier that they found that the water droplets out there actually is a little bit acidic. And O3 being negative, that extra oxygen out there flying around, it wants to attach to, it's kind of attracted to the water droplet. Water being positive, O3 being negative. So that enhances the reaction there. So it actually pulls it in and enables that to happen there on the water droplet. That water droplet is going up and down in the atmosphere, just even like hail's formed. Up and down in the atmosphere, up to the, to them even almost to the cloud level and down to the earth. But normally a little higher in the atmosphere, up and down. It's just the normal turbulence of water in the air in the atmosphere. And so that circulation gives it plenty of time to allow the ozone be attracted there and make that reaction, especially the hydrocarbons. And so then when that plant, early in the morning, if you notice the dew kind of forming on the plant leaf surfaces. So when this ozone is allowed to go in the atmosphere by getting rid of the catalytic converters, you're allowing this reaction to form, and it actually, as I said, it lands on the plant leaf surface and absorbed into the plants as fertilizer. Yet the farmers are having to put fertilizer on the plants to higher and higher portions. It's a high expense. It's causing expense to all of us who even eat, to the cattle that are fed, the corn. And so we're by also using catalytic converters, we're getting rid of that ozone, and we're also harming our water system, because the farmers are having to put more and more nitrogen on the crops, and yet we're missing the opportunity for the ozone to go through, show you, as I showed you, these reactions to nitrate the hydrocarbons and act as fertilizer that way. So, as you can see, it's very stupid to be using these catalytic converters. Now, of course, it's like in the past 20 years, we've been using all this. And of course, you can't just go out there and take off your catalytic converter off your vehicle just because you want to have ozone in the atmosphere, because there's so many government regulations preventing that. You're not going to pass inspection when you do that. So therefore, we have to go and talk to our government. We need to go ahead and get the regulations changed so we can actually take off these catalytic converters out of our vehicles and other pollution controlling devices. And as I said, instead of working on this ridiculous hydrocarbon CO2, we should work on allowing the ozone to go in the atmosphere and filter out the sunlight, and let us enjoy a less global warming, because we're allowing ozone to filter the sunlight. Next, I'm going to, let's see. I don't know where I'm going to go next. So let me go ahead and break off, and hopefully I can get enough people's attention. I know this is going to be tough, because I've even tried to contact the EPA. They're very difficult to contact, because unless you had somebody on the inside, nobody wants to answer the phone. Even the local regulators, like the states, they don't really even want to be contacted. I guess they get so many contacts coming through, they just don't bother even answering when you put in a message to ask them to call you back. I got some great response from the North Carolina Department of Air Quality. Once, I mentioned it to Dr. Benianija, who's actually been very powerful in placing so many of the people that work there, and he kind of mentioned that maybe I wasn't just a hack. Maybe somebody should actually respond, and so I got a great response from the North Carolina Department of Air Quality, and they gave me some great data backing up showing that they were very successful is not allowing ozone to get in the atmosphere, or nitrogen oxides, high enough concentrations to meet the exceedance levels set by the EPA. So you see, we have got huge steps that need to be taken to be addressed. Not only the government, the House, the Senate, especially the Biden administration, has got all these air quality funding going through. It's actually adding to the inflation because all this money is coming in and funding these projects to actually diminish the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere. As I mentioned, it's ridiculous. And so by doing that, we're increasing inflation. And now I'm saying I'm getting in areas that are less specified by my research. And so I encourage you to go actually look into the business reports and all that to understand the inflation aspects of all this. But certainly we're putting the Biden administration has got it with the help of Nancy Pelosi and ramrodding through the House because she kind of had her house in such order that they actually just kind of followed through. So that's enabled President Biden to get through a lot of legislation to actually allow this to happen to our rules and funding and everything. So we've got huge steps in front of us. I know it's not going to be easy. These groups don't really want to talk to us, but I know that you all have got the creative ability to make things happen once you get behind it. I know you've got the power to, if we get together and do this, to make some big changes and reduce global warming by allowing us to get rid of the pollution devices on our vehicles, allow ozone in the atmosphere, and put dirt around our houses and stuff with gardens, and even taking away a lot of the pavement in front of our houses and businesses, and allow the ozone, once it gets down, allowed to be in the atmosphere, it gets down into the earth to be neutralized. We're a long way from that. You notice that we have so much grass lawns. We're out there mowing. We have so much concrete and asphalt that even if we have a kind of an excess amount of rain, we've got all the flooding, even problematic by that with all this asphalt and concrete. So you see, we got a real mess on our hands. As I said, New York City and places like that, you really can't have too much dirt in certain places where the traffic is so heavy. But I have lived there in the Bronx and even around there in Harlem. There are streets that are so they're not that trafficked that actually could be turned into dirt. There's a lot of proper land around there, like with parks and everything, natural parks and things. Can allow people to plant gardens. There's a lot of asphalt pavement all around there, which could actually be turned into gardens, and for people to actually kind of start to grow some crops around the area. We can work together and get advice from the older generation of how the tricks of the trade of planting gardens, and because there's always going to be a kind of a one-way street there of the youth teaching them technology. And yet here we could actually learn from them as far as planting the gardens and how to effectively grow produce, flowers, any kind of things, especially around our houses and around the city. So, like I said, there's a lot of changes we need to make, in my opinion. You're certainly welcome to give me some feedback. I can go ahead and give you my phone number there. It's probably easier to just go with the YouTube. But you certainly can go through the phone number here of the 540-717-0791. 540-717-0791. Of course, it's an Android phone, and I'm not that great at answering with that device. Excuse me. I wish you the very best, and I thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate all your efforts, and I look forward to us making some progress here and reducing the global warming by allowing ozone to get in our atmosphere and filter out the intense sunlight that's coming through and heating up. There's a lot of data supporting this, and I said to you earlier, a lot of this, all this is peer-reviewed at the part of the harmful chemicals they're in the body there. They're being absorbed in the body and coming clear across. See, the aromatics, like I said, are in the atmosphere, and they're not easily pulled out unless we make some good, strong efforts. Even China, 10% of the production, burning, is producing the aromatics. Aromatics being so powerful and strong, as I showed you, they go clear across around the world. And when they're going over the ocean, certainly the nitrogen is taken off and replaced with like oxygen and H2O and stuff like that. As I cited there, shown in my paper that I published, that we all published. But when it goes across land and over cities, it's actually nitrogenated and becoming more mutagenic and actually becoming more harmful to our health. As I cited earlier, if we have anything more like a 6-lane highway going into our cities, there's days of inversion of the air where you're kind of a colder top and a warm bottom that doesn't allow the circulation of the air to go much farther than that. So we have to encourage the cities to go ahead, pass regulations, encourage people to use EVs inside the cities and on those roads that are like for 6-lane highways in and out of the cities, around the cities, and go ahead and allow ICE vehicles to be going ahead and used there because they're across the nation because they're not really producing the pollutants. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us, and I encourage you all to do what you can. And I wish you the very best, and I thank you for your time. And I hope you have a great day. Thank you.